Thank you, Chair. Thank you for appearing here today. What is the nature of your boss's leave, Ms Hinchliffe?
Senator, in my opening statement, I indicated that we don't comment on individuals' leave arrangements.
Why not?
Because
I heard your opening statement.
They go to personal matters for individuals, so we wouldn't comment on individuals' leave arrangements.
Surely this is affecting the morale that you want to turn around of the DPS staff, and it's, as Senator Hume pointed out, this is taxpayers paying for it.
I'm not sure that it's affecting morale of staff in terms of I walk around the building and talk to our staff, and my sense of staff is they are very committed to this building. They are very committed to the work they do.
I agree, but many of them come up to me and they're not happy.
Right.
They're very dissatisfied with the way that the department has been run. So what is the nature of his leave?
Senator, I've already indicated that we won't be discussing the basis
we've heard
of
that he's being paid while he's on leave. How long will he be on paid leave, noting that on Wednesday it will have been 4 weeks since he informed DPS staff he had gone on leave?
Senator, I indicated to an earlier question that I don't have an end date for his leave.
Was Mr Stefanic's decision to take leave on 9th of October 2024 related to the National Anti-Corruption Commission's raid on DPS in Parliament House on the 3rd of October?
Senator, I've indicated that I'm not speaking any further in relation to the execution of the warrants by the National Anti-Corruption Commission.
You're aware it was specifically requested that Mr Stefanic be here to answer questions that he has personal knowledge of?
Senator, I wrote to the committee chair to indicate that he would not be available and to request that he be excused from this.
But you're aware that he was specifically requested? I specifically requested him?
I'm aware now that you specifically requested, but as I said, I went through the process and wrote to the chair and asked that he be excused.
So Mr Stefanic only has to appear at estimates 3 times a year. He certainly knew these hearings were coming up. He's been formally requested and has failed to show up. How is this not contempt of the Senate?
Senator, as I already indicated in my evidence, I wrote to the chair and asked for him to be excused.
Do you feel like you've been thrown under the bus, Ms Hinchliffe?
No, I don't, Senator.
Mr Stefanic has repeatedly said that complaints about DPS are purely due to former employees with an axe to grind. Do you share that view?
Senator, I think you may remember my evidence at the last hearing where I said that I think that feedback is gold. And we talked particularly about things like the staff survey and the importance of staff having the availability to be able to provide to management their feedback on how they consider things are going, but also where they'd like to see the department go into the future.
The employees of DPS that I hear from, especially security, are not at all happy, I can tell you. Do you know whether Mr Stefanic was in a relationship with Kate Saunders before or after he appointed her to the Deputy Secretary position?
Senator, I don't have any knowledge about Mr Stefanic's relationships, and I'm not willing to answer anything further on that. That's not a matter for me.
Okay, I want to go to the case of ACD 13. Almost sounded like a rock group, didn't it? ACD 13 in the federal court involving DPS. There's a suppression order over that case except for hearings of Parliament. Except for hearings of Parliament. I remind you that estimates is a hearing of Parliament. I understand that the complainant, ACD 13, has consented to lifting that suppression order, but DPS will not consent to lifting the suppression order. Is DPS resisting lifting that order?
Senator, as I understand, and I don't have a lot of details on that matter, but as I understand it, there's currently consultation underway. I understand that our lawyers have been approached and that we're going through consultation processes at the moment. So that's an ongoing matter which I won't comment on any further.
Could you find out what the status is and give us an update on the notice, please?
I will take that on notice.
Thank you. What does DPS have to hide that you want to keep under suppression?
Senator,
what is it?
Senator, I have nothing to add in relation
I understand
to
that Mr Robert Brigden instructed solicitors in ACD 13 that Rob Stefanic had, quote, no involvement in intercepting a letter from a DPS employee. Is that what was instructed?
Senator, I'm not aware of this matter in any details. It occurred before I came to DPS. I don't have anything that I can add to that. I'm sorry.
Is the statement that Rob Stefanic had no involvement in intercepting a letter from a DPS employee true?
I don't have any knowledge of this matter to be able to provide you with any further information.
Are you aware of the records of the first interview that took place with Barbara Deegan of Ashurst Lawyers?
I'm not aware, no.
My understanding is in those records of the interview, contrary to the statement that he wasn't involved, the facts show the contents of the envelope were taken and shown to Mr Stefanic. They were then kept in Mr Stefanic's safe. Is that true?
As I've just said, Senator, I don't have any awareness of this matter. It occurred before I came to DPS.
Could you take it on notice to find out, please, and reply?
I can take it on notice.
Thank you. Please take on notice to produce the transcripts of records of first interviews by Barbara Deegan from Ashurst with Andrew Bigden, Rob Stefanic and Kate Saunders. Note that the suppression order from the Federal Court has a specific exemption for this hearing, so it does not apply to this request. Can you take that on notice, please?
I'll take it on notice.
Thank you. Did Kate Saunders make any intervention to ensure that the statement that Rob Stefanic was not involved in the envelope interception was included?
Senator, as I said, I have no knowledge.
Could you take that on notice and find out, please?
I can take it on notice. Whether I can find anything out is a different matter, but I'll take it on notice.
Perhaps you could check with the people involved that I've just named. Can you please confirm exactly when Kate Saunders began her employment?
Yes, I can. She was engaged with DPS on the 17th of December 2017.
2017?
Yes.
Thank you. How many branch or division managers have left their position over the last 3 years?
I would need to take that on notice.
That's understandable. Thank you. Broadly, in relation to the NACC raid on DPS of 3rd of October 2024, have any DPS executives been stood down pending the NACC investigation, and if so, how many?
Senator, I've already indicated that I won't be speaking any further in relation to the NACC matters, but I can say that no senior executives have been stood down.
No
senior executives have been stood down.
How many DPS executives are on paid leave while the investigation is underway?
Senator, again, I've said that I'm not going to answer any other questions in relation to the...
this is in relation to your department, not the NACC.
No, you're asking in terms of questions that go to the investigation and people who might be on leave that go to whether or not they're being investigated. So I think at that point I need to take that on notice and consider whether or not actually that that starts to go to a public interest question. So I'll take that on notice.
Okay, if you could take it on notice, and if you want to claim a public indemnity, then it needs to go through the Minister.
Yes, public interest immunity, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I get tangled up with the P and I.
Thank you.
Ms Hinchcliffe, when did you become aware that the NACC was investigating DPS?
Senator, I haven't indicated what the NACC is investigating. I've indicated that the NACC has executed search warrants in relation to executed search warrants on DPS, and I've also indicated that I won't answer any further questions.
So when did you become aware of that investigation?
I've indicated that I won't answer any further questions in relation to the investigation.
So when did you become aware of the warrants?
And so I became aware that the NACC were going to issue warrants on DPS on the 2nd of October.
Was that your first indication?
That the NACC was going to execute a warrant on the 3rd of October? Yes, it was.
Thank you. Ms Hinchcliffe, during your time working at the Commonwealth Ombudsman's Office, were you part of the team that dealt with the complaint about the handling of a Public Interest Disclosure Act disclosure at DPS?
No, I was not.
When did you first work with Rob Stefanic?
When he started as Secretary at DPS, and I think that was in the second half of 2015. It might have been in December.
So you were already there and he came in as your boss?
That's exactly right.
Okay. What year and date?
2015, I think Mr Stefanic started. I think he started, it was towards the end of the year. I started in the April of 2015.
So you preceded him by about 6 months, 7 months?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Do you consider Rob Stefanic to be a personal friend?
I consider Mr Stefanic to be a colleague. He's been somebody that I've worked with previously, and I've come and worked for him as the Deputy Secretary. I don't have any outside engagement with him, and I work with him as a colleague.
So you were there when he arrived? He arrived after you?
That's right.
So did you work with him before that?
No.
Okay. I've got 2 questions left, Chair. Can you please take on notice to provide the total number of sexual harassment claims that DPS has settled over the previous 5 years, and include the average settlement amount and the standard deviation, and how many of them have been under non-disclosure agreements?
Yes, I'll take that on notice.
Thank you. Last question. The upper management of DPS obviously has a lot of work to do to earn back the trust of DPS employees. We know that from just walking around the building. People come up to me frequently. I would say to you that work to restore trust starts with accountability and transparency. Surely you can start that transparency with how you answer these questions and allow the suppression order to be lifted.
I'll take that as a comment, Senator.
Well, will you lift the suppression order? I'd like that on notice.
Senator, I've already taken on notice of where that is up to, and I think that forms part of that question. If it's not, if it's a separate question, then I'll take that on notice too.
Thank you. And President, Minister.
President.
President, thank you. Could I have your answer to that question as well, please?
What question?
I would say that trust starts with accountability. Could the suppression order be lifted?
It's got nothing to do with me, Senator Roberts.
Nothing at all?
No, it's a departmental matter.
Thanks, President. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Hume, and then we'll go